I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. I'm on it.
Hey, Freak Show! You're going nowhere!
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Welcome back, kids and coaches, to another episode of West of Nowhere. I am your loving and humble servant, Levi. And I'm all alone today. R.I.P. No, as you know, Shane's off in foreign lands doing foreign things, and Mark and the rest of the Stadler clan has COVID, apparently. So that's pretty exciting, considering I was just over there. No, I believe that it'll be all right, but we do wish them well. But yeah, so it's just me today. You know, you're just with old faithful, old Levi McGee. You know, I'm here to provide you with some quality content. Maybe. I mean, it's content. Quality, who knows? So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Before we get started, go ahead and thank the Patreon people, which is should have had this pulled up. There we go. Adam Pacino, Tony Burgess, Sam Norton, Natalie Tacarante, Master Media, Kylie Gangwish, Daddy Warbucks, Mark Stadler, Colton Zamersla, and Jeremy Brazzers, of course. So if you would like to be one of the Patreon people, you can go in the link tree in the description, and you can follow the links to the Patreon, or you can just go to linktree/walk WOKPOD. So yeah, and you could also find the YouTube through there, all the fun things. We do appreciate all the support. This last week's video got a bunch of comments in there, predominantly just Kylie, typical, but but you know, hey, we do like the comments. It's nice. It's nice to have people responding to things. And where was one of the things? Oh, so Kylie agreed that I nailed my Flower Bro video duties, and if you would like to see that, watch the previous video. You can see it at the very end. Also, Kylie said she would move mountains for Casey Musgraves, which I guess checks out. It's Kylie. I don't know, man. And then from beyond the ether, Shane is wishing Mark congratulations with the new baby, and also says that I know all about playing the skin flute and twerking, which, I mean, I wish I could do that. I wish I could twerk, mainly is like my main my main thing, but you know, it's fine. Maybe one day I'll get there, but today's not that day, so it's fine. Anyway, get into some cool stuff. Well, some stuff. I was gonna comment on this when it happened. Oh, also, I get new glasses, so on the video they're super reflective, which I don't like, but I do like the style, so you know, it is what it is. If I keep my eyes down, it's not really an issue. So but anyway, I was gonna talk about this story when it happened, because everybody was kind of like, oh gosh, what does that mean? NASA attacked an asteroid, is I guess the best way to put it. Launched a satellite named DART, and just fucking just pelted this asteroid, right? And the asteroid wasn't like coming towards Earth, but they wanted to see, in the event that an asteroid is coming towards Earth, is it possible to knock the asteroid off of its, you know, trajectory? Basic kind of thing. And a lot of people are like, well, listen, this is a $300 million thing that they just launched at a rock, like, just to see. No, they're hiding something. Like, dude, NASA literally spends money just to see if they can do different things the entire time they've existed. Like, that's been their motto, I think. I think if you look closely underneath the NASA logo, it says, we spend a lot of money just to see, you know? So I don't think it's as aggressive as people are thinking, but it's still pretty interesting. And they fucking did it. They totally changed this trajectory, which is kind of sweet, I guess, depending on how you're looking at it. I don't know. I can't find anything about how big the actual asteroid is, but, you know, big enough to hit with a friggin' probe. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I don't know. I think it's cool, but, you know, not everybody's into that kind of thing. Also, you know, it seems like a waste of money, but whatever. We got to figure it out. You want to be, excuse me, you want to be guessing later? You're going to pull a don't look up and just, we're going to see, maybe. And then have the whole mission fail, and then what? And what you got? Nothing. But anyway, so that's kind of interesting. Also, in other space related news, or not space related, but like missile related news, North Korea's been launching a bunch of missiles over Japan, like 6 in like a month or something like that. So that's pretty exciting. Everybody's freaking out on TikTok about nuclear war with Russia, so that's pretty cool. The United States government did buy almost $300 million worth of drugs that is designed to treat blood cell injuries following radiological and nuclear emergencies. But it says that they're part of long-standing efforts to prepare for potential health impacts from threats to national security. I guess this has been something that they do periodically every so often. But, you know, timing's great. With, you know, Putin basically going, you know, well, fuck it, I want to do something crazy. Now, here's the thing. I get it. There's a lot of, like, it's very tense in the Eastern Bloc. You got Russia doing their thing against Ukraine, and we're sending a bunch of money to Ukraine, and everybody's a little on edge. But I think there's a couple important things to think about. Number one, like, the people who are in that kind of, like, I don't know, in Putin's war room, basically. Like, because I've heard rumors that Putin's got cancer, and so he doesn't give a fuck. Like, he'll just start a nuclear war, whatever. But you gotta think those people want to fucking live after. So, like, they don't have cancer. They will. They get radiation sickness, right? So I don't think that it, like, that kind of thought process, like, just really makes sense. Like, yeah, we're just gonna nuke him just because this one guy's got cancer. I think it's more likely that those dudes just kill him first. But, you know, so there's that. Also, the whole thing that we've been operating on for, like, the last 50 years, this mutually assured destruction thing. Like, okay, you nuke Ukraine, then what happens? Will you nuke everybody? Well, then what happens? Okay, well, then they nuke you. So nobody wins. It's like literally the people with the best bunkers will win. And even then, they're not going to win. What do they get after that? Have you seen Jericho, the TV show? Have you seen, like, literally, have you ever played Fallout? You ever watch Mad Max? Like, there's nothing to win after that. And I don't think that, like, the last time nuclear weapons were used was in World War II, against a population, I should say. And this was a thing that they were like, we're going to do this because if we do not, we're going to have to invade Japan and we're going to be doing all sorts of shit there and we're going to take out way more people. And so, like, as weird as it may seem, the nuclear option in Japan was actually a lesser of the two evils that could have happened, because a full on invasion of Japan would have killed way more people than the two nuclear bombs that we dropped. Don't agree. If you don't agree, that's fine. But that's what it is. Like, this was not a decision. They're like, fuck it, we'll just nuke them. The idea is, or was, while we were creating them, is we need to get this before the Nazis do, because if the Nazis get this, then what happens? Well, they're for sure gonna nuke somebody for no reason. And so you get into this little wormhole of like, well, the United States just thinks they're the, the not the world police, but they're like the moral superiority where we can have nukes because we're going to use them responsibly. And maybe we will, maybe we won't. But so far we've used them two times technically. And we did it with the best interest of that population, despite what it might look like, right? And I just don't think that in this day and age that some, like, Russia's not underground. They have the internet. They have they have all of the things. Their people know all the things. Like, their people are pretty well informed for the most part. All their generals are pretty well informed. Like, they know what happens. They know that is like just a terrible move. So is it a genuine threat? I mean, it always will be because they exist, right? But is it something that, like, you should take super seriously? Like, I'm not going to go ahead and say go buy a fucking bunker and live underground, because that's, I don't know. And not to be nihilistic, but if it's going to happen, there's not a whole lot we could do about it anyway. And say you do prepare, like, how far into this are you prepared to go? Because I think you got to deal with a lot of shit post, right? And that's just the way it is. It's like, I don't know. I played enough Fallout to know that I would not make it in a post nuclear apocalyptic future, right? I wouldn't cut it. I'd be like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go jump off the Grand Canyon. I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys later. Yeah. So anyway, things are going super well in the world. Here's one thing. Lift your spirits up. This'll bring you up, I feel. New new pumpkin record broke in Minnesota in the old north. 2,560-pound pumpkin, which broke the previous record, which was 2,554. So it only won by 6 pounds. But still pretty cool. Now that's the American record. The world record is 2,702-pound squash, which was grown by an Italian in 2021. Which is pretty impressive. I don't really know a whole lot about that, but I feel like it would take a substantial amount of effort. This dude drove this pumpkin 35 hours to get weighed in San Francisco. And I'm assuming the reason it was 35-hour trip is because he's in Minnesota, but like you can't drive 80 mile an hour down the down the interstate with a fucking 3,000 pound pumpkin, 2,500 pound pumpkin, whatever. Still pretty interesting. Um, but yeah, so we have big ass pumpkins. That's pretty cool. Um, Also update with the Alec Baldwin shooting. In case you guys forgot that happened. Last year, Alec Baldwin had killed a cinematographer on the set of a movie titled Rust. Um, I can't remember what the exact situation was, but the gun, like, he had aimed it at the cinematographer and fired, and either there wasn't a blank or something along those lines. It's very Brandon Lee-esque. Anyway, a lawsuit was filed in February from the family against Baldwin, the film production company, the producers, and other members of the crew alleged numerous industry standard violations. Um, the victim, as it were, her widower, her husband, um, is going to be an executive producer on the film in results, partial results of this, which I guess is like just a way to like get money from the, you know, from the movie itself. The statement from the court says, "We have reached a settlement subject to court approval for a wrongful death case against the producers of Rust, including Alec Baldwin and Rust Movie Productions, LLC. As part of that settlement, our case will be dismissed. The filming of Rust, which I will now executive produce, will resume with all the original principal players on board in January 2023. I have no interest in engaging recriminations or attributions of blame to the producers or Mr. Baldwin. All of us believe, I think her name's Helena. Helena's death was a terrible accident. I am grateful that the producers and the entertainment community have come together to pay tribute to Helena's final work." And that's what her husband said. So I don't know what else happened. Obviously, there's probably some sort of other, financial compensation that was, um, you know, discussed or worked out in the deal, but those things are usually undisclosed. But kind of hard to hide him being executive producer because his name would be there. But I guess he could use like a pseudonym or like a pen name or something. I don't know. So the big thing with this was that the production company and producers had cut a lot of corners and chose to hire the cheapest crew available, knowingly hired a wholly unqualified armorer. Um, and the armorer was Hannah Gutierrez Reed, and she had some other shit go down. I can't remember what like I feel like another thing she did also had issues. But if you search her IMDb page, um she doesn't have that much uh in her filmography. Like she's been armorer in 2 major productions, and one of them hasn't even come out yet, and the other one is Rust. So, very like, oh, we're just gonna hire somebody who's like basically brand new. Um, yeah. So anyway, got that going, which is good, I suppose. Um, oh, I heard about this over the weekend, and there was a kid. I don't know how old he was. I'll find out right now. But this kid got shot in a McDonald's drive-through, and what the deal was that this police officer had been in pursuit of another car like a day or two before. This and there's full body cam footage. The whole interaction is the officer walking towards the car, opens the driver's side, orders him out of the vehicle. This dude looks confused. Puts his hamburger down, and then like 5 seconds after this dude opens the door, he shoots 5 rounds directly into the car, and then 5 more as the car drives away. So he had seen this car, and it looked like one that had evaded him the day before. So he's like, "Oh fuck, here's this guy." Well, fuck, it turns out not the same car. Not even, it's not. It might be the same car or same type of car, but it wasn't the same guy at all. So this completely just random kid, just 17-year-old, just hanging out in the McDonald's parking lot eating a burger, is now on life support with surgeries scheduled, because this cop didn't take the few seconds or minutes or whatever to figure out if that was him or not, like the same car. So that's fucking wild. And he was called, the police officer was called to the McDonald's for an unrelated incident. But yeah, so that's pretty crazy, right? In other cop news, in LA, La La Land, there was this, I don't know what you would call it. There's like a training thing, like for the LAPD, like a bunch of cops getting together, doing like drills and shit. And this one police officer died during the training. Now, freak accident, right? Cool. No. Here's where it gets interesting. Allegedly, supposedly, that this police officer was targeted by other police officers because he was doing investigations on a what do you call it? I don't know, like just improper, I don't know. I don't know what the specifics was, but he was targeted, or they believe that he was targeted because he was a whistleblower in an assault case involving other officers. And then this assault happened like 10 months before this guy died. And so he was going to be like the, I don't know about leading witness or what, but he was gonna like, give information and present evidence, maybe, I don't know. But he had a spinal cord injury after a grappling exercise. He did have broken ribs, but those appear to be in line with a automatic CPR machine. So, yeah. Now, that's what they said. But the attorney for this man's family says that device, that automatic CPR device, hadn't been used. So yeah, that'll be interesting to follow along. LAPD officer killed for being or potentially killed for being a potential whistleblower. So be keeping an eye on that, because that's like, there's all of the cop things in the media currently. Everybody's like, well, we wish that, the good cops would stand up and do shit. Like, well, this is why they don't get fucking murdered in the goddamn training incidents and shit. Oh no, he broke his neck in 6 places. It's pesky training, I tell ya. It's not great. Anyway, I'll be following along with that one in the future. So keeping along with the uh, legal side, I suppose. Um, Joe Biden, president, announced that he's going to be pardoning individuals who have a federal marijuana possession. Like if that's their only fucking thing. Like if they had possession of marijuana and it was a federal offense, but that's all they did. They didn't have like an assault or whatever dealing or anything like that. It's being pardoned. He also wants to get rid of that, like just nationwide, but there's a lot of pushback on it, which is kind of funny. Notably, Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts says that, oh, it's just so impossible. Like nobody just has a marijuana charge on its own. Like that's you just don't understand the marijuana issue. Like that was his argument. Meanwhile, there's 6,500 people with prior convictions for simple marijuana possessions that were impacted by these pardons, and 1,000 more through pardons under DC law. And that's just U.S. citizens, and you know, so just straight up U.S. citizens. Anyway, I think it's a good move, right? I mean, it's just so fucking weird. Um, and marijuana being a Schedule 1 substance under federal drug sentencing guidelines, which is like Schedule 1 narcotics is like heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, LSD, which whatever. Um like I don't know. It seems aggressive, and the whole history with fucking marijuana being like demonized and reefer madness and all that shit. I don't know. It's just really archaic. Is that the word? Seems pretty fucking stupid, but it's a goddamn plant. So, anyway. Um Now here's a story that I'm pretty interested in, but I don't know how to convey it properly because I don't understand physics. But the Prizes, Nobel Prize, Nobel Prizes have been awarded, and the one for physics is a bit of a brain scratcher, a little bit of a brain teaser. Um, they prove that uh, locally real the universe is not. Which, if you're confused by that, real meaning that objects have a definite property independent of observation. Like an apple can be read even when no one's looking. A lot of object permanence in this real, okay? And local means objects can only be influenced by their surroundings, and that any influence cannot travel faster than light. Okay. So there's that. So those two things have been disproved, which is very confusing. Follow with me. These guys who are at the front of quantum physics, which I used to think was just a fancy word for made up, but apparently it's real. So I'm already not doing great. But quantum physics have found that these things cannot both be true. Instead, evidence shows that objects are not influenced solely by their surroundings, and they may also lack definite properties prior to measurement. Albert Einstein had once said to a friend regarding this phenomenon, "Do you really believe the moon is not there when you are not looking at it?" And this is a very Schrodinger's kind of problem, right? Like, so the way I was interpreting it or the way I had been told about it via some TikTok accounts and whatnot, is that um, these entangled particles, they had this thing called spin, and spin is not like when they're actually spinning, it's just like their state. And when they're traveling, they're either going to register an up or a down. And they're only going to register that once you've actually observed them, which I don't really understand. But that means that as soon as you register it, no matter how far apart these particles are, if you register the one as up or down, the other one's going to be conversely the opposite, right? Immediately. Which means that information between these two travels faster than the speed of light, which is confusing in and of itself. And how does that make any sense? I don't know. I'm not a fucking goddamn physician. I don't think that's even the right word. See, not the guy to be telling you about this. But pretty cool that we're just like shattering holes in Einstein's theories left and right. But that's what he gets for banging his cousin, you know? So, anyway. If you want to read more about this, there's like a bunch of YouTube videos that are trying to explain it. And I got confused out of most of them. But it's kind of neat, like just the fact that, you know, this has been like, and they were said that this thing that they were observing is something that nobody really gives a fuck about. Like it's very, like it doesn't really affect that much outside of what they're doing. Like it was just like, oh, of course, yeah, we know that that's happening, but they didn't really register or look into what else is happening around it. So that's what that is. So science. What will they think of next? Yeah. So moving to something less sciency, more historically, kind of. Um, so I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but traveling around the country or the world, mostly the world, when you go to other places and you see other Americans and how they interact with their environment, like, do you ever get secondhand embarrassment? And obviously, this is a niche question for like people who have been outside of the country, but like I said, I don't know. I think I act pretty normal, and I like to people watch, and I'm like, well, that person's not acting normal, and I know I'm not doing that, so by proxy, I'm acting normal. Well, Americans have a pretty bad reputation for acting like shitheads across the globe. Um, and case in point, a United States tourist, smashed ancient Roman sculptures at the Vatican last week. This like they were on these podiums, and this guy just like pulled them down. And the man did this because he wanted to see the Pope, quote unquote, to see the Pope. That was his mission. And after he was denied, he started just fucking smashing shit. This guy's 65 years old. He had been in Rome for about 3 days and appeared to be psychologically distressed. Are you sure? Maybe he had ghosts in his blood. Did anybody check? Cause that could do something. Yeah. So smashed two busts to the ground, one after the other. Spokesperson said they were from this, so they're not fucking telling me how old these sculptures are, but they said ancient Rome, so could be 2,000 years old. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, Rick Steves, which I don't know if you know a lot about Rick Steves, but he's like the travel guide. Uh, Rick Steves, he's got all those shit on PBS. He's always traveling all over the place. Anyway, he says that although all artifacts in the museum could be considered precious, the damaged pieces were relatively insignificant. What does that mean? Well, it just means that those things are a dime a dozen and they wouldn't put them out on display where people could just topple them if they weren't okay with losing them. Which leads me to believe that there's so much fucking artifacts all over the place. Like, I went to a museum in uh, Kansas City, the Nelson Atkins, and they had shit from ancient Egypt just hanging on the wall. Like, I could have booped it if I wanted to. I didn't. Should have. But I could have. It's like, are you not worried about people fucking with this? Like, I know it's a museum and they got like security people, but honestly, the only thing I could see anybody like really freaking out about on security was the position that people had their bags, like, satchels or purses. Apparently you couldn't. I can't remember. I can't even remember what the issue was, but like you could only hold it in a certain position on your body, which is kind of strange. But if that's your main priority, that would lead me to believe that all the shit on the walls is not as expensive as you're making it seem. Which makes me want one. So, if you're listening to this and you work at a museum, send me some Egyptian shit. I mean, I don't know what else I should say. Just send me some Egyptian shit. Anyway, last story for the day. Harvey Weinstein is finally going on trial, which is hilarious because he's been in jail for like fucking 6 years. Not really. 5 years after the story started leaking during the Me Too movement, he's finally going on trial in LA. He's already been serving a 23-year sentence for rape and sexual assault in New York. But now which is this not double jeopardy? Or is that something else? Like how I thought once you were serving prison time for one thing, you couldn't be tried for that same thing somewhere else. Or is that not how that works? I don't know. Good news is, fuck that guy, right? I mean, I'm not saying don't put him on trial. Put him on trial. I hope he gets put on trial, and I hope he starts singing like a canary and talks about all the fucking weirdos. Because I want to shut all the fucking ultra conservative people up that are always like, oh, the fucking kick Hollywood types, all raping people. Cool, fucking get them out. Like, I've never understood that argument where it's like, oh, really? Well, you don't care about that. Like, I do. Just fucking. It's the same people that always make the fucking comments about Hunter Biden and his shenanigans. Like, are they illegal? Cool. Try him, put him in jail. If it's leaked to everybody else, put him all in jail. I don't give a fuck, dude. Like, I have no skin in this game. But yeah, anyway. So, Harvey Weinstein, LA trial starts soon. Anyway, pretty excited about that just to see all the fucking shit that comes up from that because there's gonna be at least something good. Hope it's televised too. No, I don't, because he's gonna be doing that fake old man shit. I mean, he's 70, but like, they do that. They fucking do that, man. The Golden State Killer did that shit. They have video surveillance of him like doing all this crazy shit in jail, like doing like push-ups and like pull-ups in his cell, and then he'd like go into court. Me, I'm a feeble old man. Me, can't hurt anybody. It's a shitty tactic, and I fucking hate it. Anyway, so that's that's all the stories we got this week. Um, I am going to now go into the Billboard 200, and I paused for a second because I got really confused because I saw something I was not expecting. So anyway, here it is. Without further ado, the Billboard 200 top 10. Back to number 1. Un Vierno Sin Ti, Bad Bunny. Debuting at number 2, 5 Seconds of Summer, which their album title is 5SOS 5. But if you squint, it looks like sauce, which I think is pretty cool. Fucking glad am I so dumb. Up from 4 to 3, Dangerous the double album, Morgan Wallen got 90 weeks in the top 10. That's fucking insane. There's a bigger one coming up later though, so buckle up. Down from 1 to 4, Blackpink, Born Pink. I guess this is a K-pop band. Up from 7 to 5, Harry's House, Harry Styles. Holding steady at number 6, Renaissance by Beyonce. Down from 5 to 7, The Highlights by The Weeknd. 85 weeks, that's pretty good. Beautiful Mind by Rod Wave at 8. This is the one that confused me. At number 9, Re-Entry. This is a re-entry into the charts, which is I don't know what that means, but Dirt by Alice in Chains. Fuck yeah, bud. Peak position was 6, and it is spent 103 weeks on the charts, which is pretty cool. And then number 10, American Heartbreak by Zach Bryan. So, that's what we got. That's pretty cool though. Dirt, Alice in Chains. Great fucking album, man. Back when music was music. No. So, yeah, thank you for listening to me ramble. Hopefully this was better than the last time I did it. I had a little more prepared. But you know, I'm fallible. I'm a human. I don't know. If you have any suggestions, please drop a YouTube comment. Let me know what you're thinking. I need to know what you're thinking so I can do better. Shane should be able to join me next time, I think, as long as we can get the time worked out and as long as his internet doesn't suck. So yeah, that's what we got going on there. Want to thank our friends. Kicking It with the Kellys, The Remedy Room, Dutch in Denver, and No New Friends podcast. Want to thank our master of media for slinging the sick memes on Facebook. If you would like to check them out, Facebook, just go to Facebook, type in West of Nowhere. We're the only one there. It should be in our link tree as well. Also, don't forget to do all the YouTube things, like I said. Leave a comment. If you think I could do something different, let me know. If you like what we're doing, review us on Apple Podcasts, review us on Spotify, like the page on Facebook, drop a review there, comment on all of the sick memes. Yeah, so that's it. Don't forget to tip your bartenders. And I've had enough. Peace out, bitches.